U.S. forces on Saturday stopped an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela for the second time in less than 2 weeks. This as President Donald Trump continues to ramp up pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The pre-dawn operation comes days after Trump announced a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers coming in and out of the South American country, and follows the December 10th seizure by American forces of an oil tanker off Venezuela's coast. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed that the U.S. Coast Guard, with help from the Defense Department, stopped the oil tanker that was last docked in Venezuela. She also posted on social media an unclassified video of a U.S. helicopter landing personnel on a vessel called Centuries. A crude oil tanker flying under the flag of Panama operates under the name and was recently spotted near the Venezuelan coast, according to Marine Traffic, a project that tracks the movement of vessels around the globe using publicly available data. It was not immediately clear if the vessel was under U.S. sanctions. The action was a consented boarding, with the tanker stopping voluntarily and allowing U.S. forces to board it, according to a U.S. official who was not authorized to comment publicly and spoke on the condition of anonymity. Trump, following the first tanker seizure of a vessel named the Skipper this month, vowed that the U.S. would carry out a blockade of Venezuela. It all comes as Trump has ratcheted up his rhetoric toward Maduro and warned that the longtime Venezuelan leader's days in power are numbered. And the president this week demanded that Venezuela return assets that it seized from U.S. oil companies years ago, justifying anew his announcement of a blockade against oil tankers traveling to or from the South American country that face American sanctions. Trump cited the lost U.S. investments in Venezuela when asked about his newest tactic in a pressure campaign against Maduro, suggesting the Republican administration's moves are at least somewhat motivated by disputes over oil investments, along with accusations of drug trafficking. Some sanctioned tankers already are diverting away from Venezuela. The targeting of tankers comes as Trump has ordered the Defense Department to carry out a series of attacks on vessels in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific Ocean that his administration alleges are smuggling fentanyl and other illegal drugs into the United States and beyond.
An oil and chemical tanker sanctioned by the United States has entered Venezuelan waters, directly challenging President Trump's declaration of a total and complete blockade. According to ship tracking data, the vessel, a Gambia-flagged tanker named Hyperion, sailed through the volatile Caribbean and was spotted near an oil refinery off Amway Bay. The ship is under U.S. sanctions imposed earlier this year as part of Washington's effort to choke off Russian energy revenues. Yet, despite Trump's warning, the tanker went through. The incident came just days after Trump announced strict enforcement against any shipping entering or leaving Venezuelan waters, a move aimed at tightening pressure on Maduro's government. Trump has accused Venezuela of illegally seizing U.S. energy assets and vowed to reclaim American oil interests.
It's a blockade. We're not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it. Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had. They took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching, but they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
This latest defiance follows an even more dramatic escalation. Just last week, U.S. forces seized a sanctioned oil tanker off Venezuela's coast. Footage showing armed American personnel descending from helicopters onto a moving vessel and taking control mid-sea. Trump later called it the largest tanker ever seized.
As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so.
Thank you. Can you explain a little more about this Venezuelan oil tanker and share a little more information?
Well,
about
I'll let
that?
the people do it, but you see the result, and I guess they probably have released the pictures by now, or pretty soon. You'll discuss that with the appropriate people later on, but no, it was seized for a very good reason.
Who owns that oil tanker?
You'll get that information later.
Okay, and have you spoken to Maduro since your last conversation?
No, I
Has it
haven't.
only been one conversation?
No.
We're interested in the seizure of this tanker. What happens to the oil on that ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You know, you're a good newsman, just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it was going? Was it going to
Follow it.
China?
Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is
Is it true it's going to
But
Cuba?
we're gonna, I assume we're gonna keep the oil.
Venezuela slammed the blockade, calling it a reckless and serious threat. It said it would continue to defend its sovereignty and national interests. Nicolás Maduro accused the Trump administration of pursuing regime change and of openly seeking control over Venezuela's territory and natural resources. Maduro insists Venezuelan oil belongs to Venezuelans, not Washington. The stakes are enormous. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the world, and petroleum remains the backbone of its struggling economy.
We are adhering to our own established principles. We are standing here on our own land. We are fully within our rights, and we are defending the most sacred thing that a country can possibly possess. That is the fundamental right to a future for all its children, for its young boys and girls, for all its families, and for its entire people. Samike, war, we have unequivocally stated that our answer is no. And here, within the United States, the overwhelming majority of the entire population is completely and utterly opposed to any form of military intervention. They're saying in the United States, interventionism must finally come to an end. Simply, it's a warmongering and colonialist claim. And we've said it many times. And now, everyone sees the truth. The truth has been revealed. In Venezuela, they seek a regime change to impose a puppet government that wouldn't last even 47 hours, that would hand over the Constitution, our sovereignty, and all of our nation's wealth, and turn Venezuela into a colony. Quite simply, that will never, ever happen. Never, never in its entire history will Venezuela be a colony of anything or of anyone, ever. Our prophet of song, our prophet, our very own poet. Today, I can confidently declare that Venezuela has achieved the most profound and powerful level of national unity that we have ever witnessed in our history. And this national unity has but one singular objective: to ensure the full respect for international law, to demand the upholding of national sovereignty by actively exercising it, and to guarantee the right to peace, to a dignified life, and to the prosperous future of Venezuela. And this fundamental right to peace and to a dignified life, it will be unequivocally respected.
Diplomatic tensions show no sign of easing. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has granted the Maduro government illegitimate, accusing it of cooperating with Iran, Hezbollah, and transnational criminal networks.
Does the U.S. have the goal of removing Maduro from power? Do you expect any regime change this 2026? I would appreciate if you could answer both in English and in Spanish.
In Spanish?
Yeah.
It sounds so much better in Spanish when I answer that question.
No,
Okay.
but for my
So
colleagues,
I'll
yeah.
start in English. Look, our goal is regional stability and security and the national interest of the United States. The national interest of the United States, specifically when it comes to Venezuela, is as follows. We have a regime that's illegitimate, that cooperates with Iran, that cooperates with Hezbollah, that cooperates with narco-trafficking and narco-terrorist organizations, inclusive, not just protecting their shipments and allowing them to operate with impunity, but also allows some of them to control territory, the ELN and the FARC-D. Okay? The ELN and the FARC dissidents operate openly. They have like open camps that they control territory inside of Venezuela. That is our national interest, and that is what this is focused on. And that's what the president's been focused on. Let's be mature here. Yes, there are issues where we want to pursue peace if that is possible. But we also have our national interest. If our national, we're not going to reach a peace deal with narco-trafficking bans. We're not. We can't reach a peace deal with MS-13. We can't reach a peace deal with Tren de Aragua. We can't reach a peace deal with the ELN or the FARC that are still pumping drugs into the United States or any of their cartels in Mexico. You can't do a peace deal with these people any more than you could do a peace deal with a mafia. So I think it's important to understand that's different between warring factions and nation states around the world, where we feel like maybe we could act as a bridge to bringing about the differences. But when you're talking about things that directly implicate the national interest of the United States, and no one can argue that transnational criminality and terrorism in our hemisphere is not a threat to the national interest of the United States, we have to use, we reserve the right and have the right to utilize every element of national power to defend the national interest of the United States. And no one can dispute that. And every country in the world reserves the same option. We just simply have more power than some of them do.
The Caribbean is becoming a new geopolitical hotspot, with each move carries the risk of miscalculation or confrontation. For now, the Hyperion sends a bold signal and challenge to Washington, and a reminder that the U.S.-Venezuela standoff is far from over.